program, The Open Dialogue, where we discuss sensitive and difficult social and cultural issues. Today we will be discussing a very controversial topic which is dominating the headlines in America, and is subject to explosive debates between the pro-life and the pro-choice campaigners. We will examine the topic of abortion and we'll look at it from the faith perspective, and we will try and understand the humanitarian aspect of abortion. Joining us for today's discussion, we have Father Nadeem Nasser, who is the founder and executive director of the Awareness Foundation. He preaches at the churches across London and teaches worldwide. He also gives public lectures for many organizations, including Al-Qazwini Foundation, the Post-Davos Nordic Summit, and the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva. Welcome to the program, Father Nadeem.
Thank you very much, Zainab. Pleasure to be
here. We are also joined by Hujjatul Islam wal Muslimin, Syed Mohammad Razavi, who is the head of the Religious Advisory Board, the RAB, at the Shia Islamic Education Society. He deals with many social and domestic issues. He has an experience of 40 years in dealing with over 11,000 cases from clients all over the world. Welcome to the program, Syed Mohammad.
Thank you for hosting.
So let's start the topic straight away. Father Nadeem, the first question is directed at you. Since government figures show that abortion rates are at their highest since the introduction of the Abortion Act 1967, when abortion was legalized under certain circumstances in the UK, the legal limit for a woman having an abortion is at 24 weeks. This is because at this point, the fetus is viable outside the mother's body. Abortions may be performed after 24 weeks in certain circumstances, if a mother's life is at risk, or if the child would be born severely disabled. From the Christian perspective, how does Christianity view the practice of abortion? And is there a stage at which abortion is a good choice?
Thank you, Zainab, for this very timely subject to talk about. And it's very difficult to say, what do you think Christianity thinks? First of all, I don't represent Christianity. And there are many views, like in Islam or like in any other religion. There are many views within one religion. So whatever I say, other people or other clergy may say something different, may agree on some, disagree on some. So I don't claim that I represent Christianity as such. But of course, we need to harmonize faith and science. And it's not a matter only of faith, and it's not also a matter of science. Why? Because according to science explains to us how and what. Faith explains to us why. Science doesn't answer the question, why do you want to have an abortion? Science explains the physics, the physiological aspect of the embryo and the womb and the situation of the mother and all that. But beyond that, science stops. Because of that, I feel it's not about a matter of only regulations. It's a matter of conscience. And it's a matter of education. So first of all, we need all to be educated. In this debate, I think there is too much emphasis on only women. Most of the times, don't forget, in many places around the world, the decision of abortion does not lie in the hands of the woman. Most of the times, it's her family, her husband, her brother, So we are all involved in this matter, and we need to educate ourselves all. So because of that, I say, I am not excited when I hear extremist ideas. You know, Zainab, I am not an extremist person. I am radical but not extremist. So when people talk about pro-life, I have many questions to ask, and I'm sure we will talk about that in the program. Or when we say pro-choice, also there are issues about that. So whatever the two poles of the discussion pulling against each other, we need to ask difficult questions. What circumstances does the woman find herself, or the pregnancy, or the family? In what way the woman got pregnant? What is her physiological ability to carry such a pregnancy? What is the economical impact on that decision? Is she aborting because she can't provide for this child? Is she aborting because she was raped? So the situation of the woman plays a big role on that. Her body plays a big role. Our education, how to support the choice and the freedom and the conscience of our brothers and mothers and sisters, and the women, the role of women is very important in the society. And therefore, for me, it is not a matter of black and white.
Syed Muhammad Radawi, coming to you. What does Islam say about sacredness of life? And is there at any point where a woman is allowed, or as as Father Nadim explained, that as a family or as a society, are there any circumstances under which abortion can be resorted to? And are there any jurisprudential implications of abortion?
Yeah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Father Nadim Nassar explained very brilliantly and very nicely that abortion involves a lot of issues. As far as the strict ruling is concerned, from Islamic point of view, it's the issue of getting rid of a living being. So, and then there is a discussion between scholars at what stage and when and under what circumstances, and all of these issues come under discussion, and Ulema and scholars discuss about it. As far as the clear verses of Holy Quran, Allah is the creator of life. God is the creator of life, and God brings us in this world. Of course, a couple are involved, but it is with the nature that God has given to us as creatures, and we can reproduce. Therefore, we reproduce. So, as a human being, we have a responsibility towards that. In animal worlds, there is no choice, and there is no surgical operations or anything. Somebody may say that some animals know what is going to happen to their fetus if the fetus is not healthy, what they do naturally. That is a totally different issue. But as far as human beings are concerned, we are intellectual human beings, and we have been given freedom of choice. So it's up to us to use the freedom of choice positively or negatively. And before using the freedom of choice, we have to research and study. First of all, the ulama and the scholars and the society has to educate the members of the society on these issues first, and it takes the discussion in all sorts of directions. That in a healthy society, this would probably never happen. In a healthy society, rape will not take place. In a healthy society, couple would do blood tests before getting married so they don't end up having what do you call, unhealthy child. I mean, in the modern societies, like in many countries, I can give you an example of Iran. In Iran, nobody is allowed to marry without blood test before marriage, and the blood test has to be done on several different things, and the whole idea is to have healthy children in future. You have to be tested for HIV, sexually transmitted diseases, thalassemia, and any other abnormality that may lead into conceiving a child which is going to be unhealthy and become a burden on the society. So if these precautions are taken from before marriage, then of course the number would be reduced. Then the second point is ethical upbringing and nurturing and education and awareness and mutual respect and respect of the law and order. This all comes into action, which results is in either wanted child or unwanted child. So if we take care of all these points of views, of course it will reduce the rate of abortion. But we don't live in an ideal society. We have all kinds of problems. We have wars going on, chemical wars going on, which are affecting childbirth. I mean, the children are born with severe disabilities, which cause many problems afterwards. We are not living in an ideal society where rape takes place, and then rape has different consequences in different kinds. Within, as Father Nadeem Nassar was mentioning, within same sect of a religion, there are differences of opinion. Somebody may say that, well, rape has taken place, but it is not child's fault, so let the child be born. Others would say, no, it will cause severe problems and hardships in the family and would lead into mental problems and psychological issues and this and that. So if you present the case in this way, the same scholar which says it is not allowed may give a different opinion according to the circumstances. So it's a very vast subject that we can discuss and elaborate on it. And as Father Nadeem Nassar mentioned, that we should be very careful in giving opinion, and we have to do the study and research and express the opinion according to the expert scholars and leaders.
So it's a very circumstantial issue then, and it depends, the verdict on abortion depends on the circumstances that the woman finds herself in. It cannot be an easy decision to make for a woman who is full of motherly instincts to go down that route. What are the implications of abortion on women themselves? So first of all, they find themselves in difficult situations. Does having an abortion have impact on a woman health-wise, psychologically, emotionally, Father Nadeem?
I think the impact is very serious. The woman is holding this life form inside her and feeling how this life is growing. So losing that life is traumatic, is very traumatic. So we need to understand the impact on the woman psychologically, physically, and mentally. So we need to surround the woman with support. I would like to give an example. For example, in Europe, in the Balkan War and in different parts of Europe, some nuns were raped and they were pregnant, and the church went into a crisis to give those nuns the freedom to decide what to do with those pregnancies. A nun a consecrated lady for God suddenly finds herself pregnant. What would she do? So because of that, I'm saying, we are saying, Sayyidina and I, that it's not something you sit and pontificate and try to give opinions. It's not that easy. And for those who say, well, we are pro-life and you are killing the child, all this, I say, where are you with the pro-life after the child is born? How many children die of poverty, of trafficking, of war? How many children do we have in the world? They carry weapons and they fight in wars. This is not pro-life. So I would say to them, you are concerned about a fetus unborn, and you are not concerned about children who are left in famine, in war, in difficulties, in trafficking. What about the life of those children? So let's not be too ideological about it. And as the English say, ride high horses about pro-life. We need also to respect the circumstances of the woman herself.
Sayyid Muhammad, it must be difficult for a woman who's a victim of rape or victim of trauma, such as incest, or has been given the news that she is bearing a child with a possible disability. It must be difficult for her. I mean, just like Father Nadeem said, the circumstances these women would find themselves in and the support that surrounds them may not be enough. What's your take on this?
Yes, those circumstances are important, and the opinions of Shia Muslim scholars, first of all, they all say that as soon as the nutfa is created, like when the sperm joins the eggs and settles in the lining of the womb, after that, it is not permissible. This is a strict rule. But again, for example, the marja taqleed would not interfere in the local matter. For example, if he would not be present in a situation where to decide whether who is under extreme difficulty and usra and haraj, as we say in Arabic, and that decision has to be made by the surgeon, by the father, by the mother, and the society that the lady who has become pregnant is living. So depending under those circumstances, majority of the Shia fuqaha say before 4 months it is permissible if it causes so much trouble, difficulty, and this and that. And some of the scholars have recently mentioned in case of rape where it could cause severe problems. But in an ideal society, if we lived in an ideal society, people would not blame the raped woman and would accept the child of a raped woman and would bring the child up as a proper normal human being in the society. Of course, there are side effects, and of course, there are issues that would have to be dealt later on. But again, it depends on the circumstances, availability of the support and mental support and the family support and financial support and other health issues that may occur later on in their life. But as a general ruling is that you should not get rid of the child at all at any stage, and some of the scholars say after 4 months definitely not, and before 4 months there are stages, and there are kind of fines that have been prescribed in Islamic Sharia to be given on different stages of pregnancy. But I have to make it clear that those diya, which is called diya, or blood money does not mean that okay, you become pregnant, and if you decide later on not to have a child and you just pay the diya, and it's okay. No, you are not forgiven. You have committed sin. And the giving of the blood money does not compensate and replace the life of the child that has been killed or aborted in these circumstances. But these are the secondary rules which are adopted by the Maraja Taqlid and Ulama and scholars to assist the unideal society that we are living in. Inshallah, when Jesus Christ comes back and returns, and Imam Mahdi comes back, we will live in an ideal society and we will have less of these problems.
I hope
mean,
so.
Yes, go ahead.
before this law was introduced, before this law was introduced, like when myself and Father Nadeem were having a conversation, and we spoke about what used to happen before then, when women had unwanted pregnancies due to becoming pregnant out of wedlock. So, putting up the children for adoption is another option instead of taking away the life of the fetus. What are your thoughts on that, Father Nadeem? Of course, this would come with implications on the woman.
Yeah, huge implications. And to see also her child taken from her by the day of birth, and she knows she may never see him or her again. What is the difference between that and abortion? And why should we subject the woman into this trauma and into this horrible feeling? Because there is still there are a lot of cases in this country still running in courts about the damage some women have been facing through all their lives since the 60s, because they were forced to give their children to adoption, and they took the woman, and the day of the birth they took the child, and she was not allowed to hug her child. This is criminal. I don't think adoption is a solution to a much bigger question of what you said, Zainab, to Sayyidina, the sanctity of life. I can't divide the sanctity of life and put more sanctity in the box of the embryo more than in the box of when a person is 90. For me, both are living human beings, and both lives are sacred for me. So let's not divide the sanctity of life here.
We have to take a short break at this moment, and we will join the discussion again